Welcome to Blade HQ, everybody. Today is October 30th, 2023. We're talking new knives, and I have some news about a cool giveaway we're doing tomorrow at the very end, so stick around. First knife on the table, we have this big ol' thing. This is the ESEE Zarasa, I think. It's a Croatian word that means goat. And I'll tell you, when I see this knife, I just think about goats. Yeah. Anyway, this thing's a kukri, clearly. Big ol' curve in the blade, gives you a lot of chopping power up here at the front, and some good slicing power back here at the back as well. It's got a walnut handle with these rivets, so it's not gonna be easily disassembled. This one is USA made by ESEE, backed by their incredible industry-changing warranty. Basically, you break this thing, no matter how you break it, they'll replace it, no questions asked. 1075 on the blades. You're gonna get a little extra toughness at the expense of some edge retention, but with a knife this big, I would definitely like that. But big ol' knife. 11.5 inches on the blade, 16.5 inches overall. And a great price too, $98.95. So it's a great knife, ESEE, and you pick it up and you just wanna go chop something with it. Next up, new from GiantMouse, we have the Yaked. It's like yacht, but there's like a half of an end of a G in there. Yaked. And it's Danish for hunt, as Jaeger is hunter, but Yaked, hunt. And I see this, and I genuinely think this would be a great hunting knife. First of all, it feels bigger than it is. So a lot of knives out there are of a similar size. Like this one feels like a knife about its size, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but this one feels even bigger for somehow they did that. Excellent ergonomics on this nice micarta handle and a CPM MagnaCut blade with a nearly Nessmuk style sweep in it. So the Nessmuk was designed by George W. Sears, who worked for Field and Stream. It was a magazine that's not Field and Stream, it was something else a long time ago. And he went by the pen name Nessmuk, and he sort of popularized this blade shape where it's mostly a straight spine with a little bit of a hump in the back, and then it curves towards the front, and that gives you a nice deep belly for slicing, as well as a good section of straight for carving. A great outdoor knife all around, but this one feels really spec'd into hunting because they went with that really high quality stainless steel with the great edge retention, and the micarta handles, which will just get grippier as they get slipperier. Next up, new from Hawk Knives, we have the Deadlock C. So recently put out a video where we did some sharpness tests at Blade Show West, and the first booth we stopped at was the Hawk booth, and one of their guys from the workshop, who is using his knife hard every single day, had the dullest knife I've ever tested. I will not demonstrate here because this is a $3,000 knife, but if you get a brand new Hawk Deadlock, it is hair-splitting sharp. But if you're gonna use it for 3 years every day in the workshop, you're gonna have to sharpen it eventually. But this one, the Model C, has the titanium frame, the DLC-coated MagnaCut blade, and this really cool Nebula carbon fiber inlay. And as I mentioned earlier, they cost a pretty penny, $3,000 for this one. But these are the best OTFs in the world, in my opinion. And the reason for that is this lockup. So most of the time with OTFs, they're always gonna have a little bit of wiggle. But this one, it feels like a fixed blade up here. It is not going anywhere. Locks up perfectly solid, a very slick action. It's a nice knife. One day, when I'm a whole lot richer than I am now, I will own a Deadlock. One day. Next up, we have a bunch of new stuff from Protech that we picked up at Blade Show West. This TR5 is just standing in for the bunch, and this one's fun because it's a Blade Show West special with this beautiful sapphire blue PVD coat on it. I found out this is I want to say it's a zirconium oxide PVD coating. I don't know how they do that or where they do that, but my goodness, is it beautiful with that blue. And then they have a new texture as well. So there's a whole lot of new stuff from Protech you can check out at bladehq.com. This particular knife goes for $360, but it could be more or less than that depending on model, materials, finishes, etc., etc., etc. Next up, we have on the budget side, the Besttechman GLOK. I want to say Glock, but a Glock is a thing. So maybe it's an acronym. Stands for like good length olfactory knife. I don't know. GLOK. That's what it is. We're gonna run with it. This is another design from Keanu Alfaro, and I told you that we're gonna be seeing more of him in the future, and I I promised it, and it's coming to pass here. This one has a 14C 28N blade and a G10 handle. And I'll tell you, this is a bit of a funky looking design, but when you put it in your hand, like this deep choil really pushes the blade forward, which makes for good slicing stuff, especially against a table or against a box like a lot of us are using our knives for all the time. I swear you can't be a knife guy without an Amazon Prime membership because you're never gonna have a box to cut without one. Anyway, it's got a thumb disc opener. It's an all around great knife for a great price too, $68. Getting a 3.5-inch blade, 8 inches overall, and that is something worth mentioning. I know that sometimes we just sort of prattle off numbers like they're nothing, but generally speaking, if you go look around knives, you're going to have at least an inch of difference between the blade and the handle, because unless you pull a few tricks off that are very few and far between, you can't get a blade that is longer than the handle inside a folder. But with this one, you're getting less than an inch. You're getting a ½ inch of difference, giving you one of the best blade to handle ratios I've seen on a folder ever. And I think that that is a very well done design choice done by Keanu Alfaro. And I'm just very impressed with his work. And I'll tell you, he's gonna be a name that is household by the end of his career. Speaking of a name that's a household by the end of one's career, we have Bob Terzuola on the MKM TPF Defense. So this is the new knife that came out this week, and I'll tell you, I saw this one at SHOT Show, and I've wanted it ever since. It's just the right size, TPF Terzuola pocket fixed, so it's using that really clever sheath that MKM has, where it's this leather with a magnetic closure on the back. So you just tuck that in your pocket, and it's easy to pull your knife out like that. Got a magnet cut blade designed by Bob Terzuola, an absolute legend of the knife world, and this one's got a G10 handle, but there's also some carbon fiber ones. Very exciting. And micarta. They start at $169, which is a very good price considering the design, the manufacturer, and the materials. And the real reason I brought up the TPF Defense is my buddy Igor over at MKM sent us a big old box of knives for giveaway. And that's just such a nice thing of him to do. And we're gonna spread that love. So tomorrow is Halloween Day. And we're gonna be doing a special thing right here on YouTube and on our social platforms. We're gonna be giving away some awesome knives. And if you show up, there's a good chance you'll get one because we've got a lot of them. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you next time.